up or look at the geopolitics and defense sector implications, let's bring in Roman Schweizer of the TD Cowen Washington Research Group, who joins us now. Roman, thanks so much for joining us. I know you got a busy schedule.
Happy to be here, Kim. Anything for you.
That's very kind of you. I'll keep that in mind. Let me start asking you, Roman, with this is how I talk to everybody. Take me through your thinking in terms of where we are right now with the conflict. How do you evaluate where things are going, how long it's going to take, and how we should be thinking about this?
Sure. Well, I think the one thing most folks kind of lose in the moment is, President Trump was sort of faced with a challenging decision. I think for the last 20 years or so, perhaps even longer, it's been sort of a game of musical chairs or hot potato as to the question under which U.S. president would Iran actually obtain a nuclear weapon. And this is something that has been delayed through negotiations and other activities, and the Obama Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, and all of these things. And based on the current progress or the previous progress of the Iran program, it was very likely it was going to occur under President Trump's term, by 2028. And this was something that I think is historically unacceptable. President Trump undertook Operation Midnight Hammer in last June, in action that I think the Iranian regime and perhaps the world didn't expect Trump would take. And then here again, just a few days ago with Operation Epic Fury, he undertook kind of the maximalist option, right? Going after regime leadership, going after its missile and rocket forces, its command and control structure, a wide range. I mean, really a comprehensive series of attacks in coordination with Israel. And so now, as we watch this unfold, it has spiraled into an Iranian retaliation, in which the regime itself believes it's probably in an existential threat, which has broadened into economic warfare against its GCC partners, into ostensibly closing the Strait of Hormuz, although perhaps not slamming that door shut, and then perhaps allowing for the other entry of European powers and others against it, under which a backdrop of which we have not seen Russia or China or other countries come in on behalf materially or in a significant way of Iran. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I think it plays out over the course of weeks. It's certainly not something that's going to happen in days. I do not believe it will be prolonged into months. I think there are a number of things that point to some sort of solution within the next several weeks.
And what are you seeing that has you think that?
Sure. I mean, primarily economics. One, you cannot have the Strait of Hormuz closed, for that long. The president has said potentially that the U.S. would provide insurance, that they would force or escort tankers, force the Gulf open. I think the other issue you have is how long can Iran materially hold on? The military math, so to speak, the one thing that everyone is focused on right now is how many missiles does Iran have and how many interceptors does the U.S. And Gulf Cooperation Council countries have in their arsenals. I think there's a lot that goes into that math equation, and the U.S. and Israel are constantly attacking launchers, attacking storage sites, attacking manufacturing capability, and Iran is not being resupplied, right? So their inventory pre-war, perhaps 2,000 to 2,500 missiles, is being used, is being struck, and they will run out of a Schlitz, as some people say, well before I think the U.S. And its allies do. So there are some elements of that.
I'm up against. Oh, sorry. I was going to say I'm up against the clock here, Roman, but I want to squeeze one last piece in. You were talking about in some of the research I know that you published about just defense spending. You're expecting, a 1.1 trillion budget in the states to be passed, and then you talked about an emergency supplemental. Could there be more spending coming?
Speaker Johnson actually was asked by House Speaker Mike Johnson was asked by reporters yesterday about that. I think that we could see an emergency supplemental in the $50 billion range within the next several weeks to urgently replenish munitions. There is a function of capacity as well as existing stockpiles, and then we get into the annual budget request, which we should see in the next couple of weeks, and I think there's a chance you could get that appropriated by October 1 instead of a continuing resolution before the midterm. So I think there's a short-term need as well as I think the longer-term outlook for spending looks pretty robust, both in the U.S. as well as Middle East countries replacing their stocks, and then, of course, NATO.
Again, 30 seconds, I hate to keep doing this to you, but is there anything you think that people should be thinking about that maybe is not being talked about right now with regards to where things are going?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one, what are the signs of any Iranian opposition, either within the country or external to the country? What are the prospects for regime change? Certainly, you would want to see or need to see indications of that really over the next 2 to 3 days. I think that's something that is weighing on the Trump administration as a positive signal as to whether they negotiate or hold this out and hold out the idea of some regime change. Second thing is the GCC countries, the Saudis, Qataris, Emiratis, that have been struck by the Iranians. They're probably in the game now. And Karg Island is one of Iran's sort of key export facilities, terminals for its energy exports. That has not been touched yet. That is something that could be seized by the U.S. government, I mean, with combat forces, or it is something that could be struck by the Saudis or others in retaliation for Iranian attacks on GCC energy infrastructure. So I think that's another escalatory ladder that could impact the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps finances and actually increase the likelihood of some internal dissension in the country.